This is Professor Michael Chapman. I'm one of the most experienced IVF doctors in Australia. I believe that an important part that I can contribute is to educate patients in relation to fertility, infertility, and all that involves. These series of podcasts help to educate you. I hope they are helpful to you. If you wish to know more, however, I'm more than happy to have you contact me via email, which is profmchapman@gmail.com, or make an appointment to see me on 9138 4222. So when we look at the sperm sample, the scientist, or these days, in fact, automation, counts the number of sperm that are swimming. And then there are various forms of swimming. There are swimmers like me who lie in the swimming pool, can twiddle my toes, but don't go anywhere very fast, non-progressives. And then the Olympic swimmers who whisk across the microscope slide and highly motile. So we talk about progressive and non-progressive. And then on top of that are the ones that swim around in circles, and they're not going to go anywhere in terms of finding their way up through the cervical canal, up into the uterus, and find the egg. So motility is a vital factor, and the current criteria for normality is 32% of the sperm that we see should be progressive swimmers. If it's below that, then potentially, even if you put 15 million in the top of the vagina, if it's less than that, less and less will get to the egg to fertilize it. And then they've also got to be normal. The normality is more about what's going to happen once the sperm hits the egg and attaches itself, that it has to be a normal sperm in terms of anatomy to produce fertilization in the egg. A motile sperm can still have heads that are misshapen, elongate, pinheads. There's a group of them called pinheads. We know a few mates of pinheads, and they don't do as well. So that structure of the sperm, the morphology of the sperm, is something else we look at. Interestingly, the criteria for that are very strict. So unless the sperm has the right dimensions in terms of its head, because if you've got to imagine a sperm is a tadpole, it has a head, it has a neck, and it has a tail. And a normal sperm has a normally shaped head. It's not distorted, not two heads. We get two-headed sperm as well. And the neck has to be in a ratio appropriate, and the tail has to be the appropriate length, not too long, not too short. So what you're looking at is the 5'10", blonde-haired, blue-eyed, slim male or female, and obviously in the general population, that's a relatively small percentage, and indeed in the sperm world it's just the same. We only need greater than 4% normality of the shape to say they're normal. We need 4% of them to be normal. If we have less than 4%, then we are concerned that even though they might be good progression and there might be good numbers, they're not going to produce fertilization of the egg. So they're the criteria that we go looking at: the number of sperm, called the concentration, the motility of the sperm, and the morphology, the shape of the sperm. And that's what a scientist is looking at when they're telling us and the clinicians whether the sperm sample is a good one or a bad one. We can go further than that in terms of checking the sperm. There is a technique that we use. Primarily, it was developed for insemination samples and also for IVF samples. It's called, some people call it a trial wash, or a sperm preparation technique. And there are two or three different ways of doing that, but the most simplistic one is that the sperm sample is put in a centrifuge and spun around, and then the pellet at the bottom of the test tube is then put on a plate, and then what it does is it separates the non-motile from the motile. That's its primary goal. And the number of motile sperm determines or gives a good indication of the chances of that sample producing a natural pregnancy. So, I mean, the way I talk to patients about that is a bit like taking your sperm sample, throwing it in the one end of a swimming pool, and then an hour later coming back and looking at the other end of the swimming pool and see how many are still swimming. And that's a good sign of what's going to happen inside the uterus once the sperm is deposited. That's one test extra that we do, the trial wash. And that certainly has a major determination of what sort of fertility treatment we'd be doing if we were going beyond trying to conceive naturally. For intrauterine insemination, for instance, we want more than 2 million motile sperm in every mil of the sample after that processing. Less than that, and the odds of a pregnancy with simple insemination is low. Below 2 million per mil also potentially means that IVF may not work, that there aren't enough sperm to actually penetrate the egg. And those patients would move on to the sperm injection technique called intracytoplasmic sperm injection, or ICSI is its name.
And don't forget that you can access all the previous episodes by going to our website www.theivfjourney.com and select IVF Journey podcast from the navigation menu.